right, Mr. Wilson. It's been a hot minute since we've had a podcast up.
Right, just a little bit.
Just a little bit, but we have been doing podcasts just on a different channel.
That's right. GrowthWord.
Yep, GrowthWord Live. So we will put that in the links below. Go on Facebook, growthwordlive.com. That is a podcast that we do every week with different guests. With us, Kristen Cole and Joe Q. We call him Joe Q because nobody can pronounce his last name.
That's right. And then we have guests that are a lot better looking than us.
Yeah, we found both of them.
Yep. So
in the world. So we just got back from Alaska.
Good.
We did. Tell us what we did up there.
We actually taught a class on career visioning. So that was actually pretty intense. It was actually quite unique since it was the first time doing the class in this digital world / real world. So it was quite interesting to kind of be a part of that.
Yeah, so we did online as well as in person. We had about 40 people online, a lot more than that. 40 people in person, and then 3, 4, 5 times the amount of that online. So it was interesting trying to speak into a camera and people at the same time, but it was pretty cool. So we got to do that, and then what did we do after that?
We did a little bit of fishing. I did.
Yeah.
There's also we actually went out on a boat.
On a boat in Prince William Sound.
Right.
So we spent 3 days with some people that are near and dear to our hearts, and got to. What's really cool about that is obviously it was a good time. It was a great time. But the conversations that we got to have throughout the process, and it was really cool. It was really cool.
Surround yourself.
What's that?
Who you surround yourself with matters.
Absolutely. So it's cool to be able to go on a trip like that and have business and personal development type conversations the entire time, and build relationships. We had some relationships that have been established for a long time and some new ones, and just a great overall time. So you had the chance a couple days ago, to jump on a call with Gary Keller for a monthly mastermind, and go ahead.
Actually, I wasn't on that call. So
no,
yeah,
we got notes because we were flying back.
That's right. That's right. So that was pretty intense on some of the content that was covered there.
Yeah. Very interesting seeing where we are going as a market, as a industry, and as a country as well.
Yeah.
So some of the unemployment ratings and what the world looks like, no one's got a crystal ball, but it's definitely a time to get to work, right?
Well, you know what? You say that we don't have the crystal ball, but there were some very, profound statements there, with 15 to 20% unemployment. When you think about it, those people aren't buying homes. Yep. And if somebody's losing their job, I'll give you an example. My brother got furloughed. So therefore he lost some of the income that's coming in, and he's like, dude, I think I'm going to sell my house. So it starts to either one, try and salvage the fact that you're going to save your home, or you're going to either sell your home and get the equity out of it to kind of put into a safety net. So it's interesting times right now.
So to give you an example, is right now, broad speaking, we're in a seller's market across the United States.
I would say nationally, yes.
Yeah. Nationally, we are. Now, granted, there's going to be different markets, different price points, so on and so forth. You just look at that. Imagine if 1 out of every 5 people is unemployed and they decide they want to acquire some more cash and offload properties, and 1 out of every 5 people that owns a house decides to do that, overnight, you could shift into a buyer's market.
Absolutely. Very quick. And then, you know what, I think that's not saying that's where it's headed, but ultimately with the situations that have happened, building slowed down. So therefore your inventory has slowed down. So, you're looking at, is this a pent up demand currently? And ultimately, what does it look like here in another 6 months?
Well, and we were talking about this in the car yesterday, Aaron, commercial real estate. There's a lot of businesses that have walked out of leases. renegotiated leases, or decided not to renew a lease. So those who are commercial developers or investors, they may have had a big plan for the last third and fourth quarter to develop properties and remodel, whatever that may look like. But when when they now have vacancies at a higher rate than what they had initially thought or expected for the first half of the year.
Well, it's an interesting conversation because you know what? There's business models that have changed during this, pandemic. That's including us. I mean, we had what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 offices. So we got rid of one office because literally it just makes sense to, narrow it down to 5 right now due to the fact where we've got agents that are producing at a very high level and not using an office. So, and that's the thing is offices are needed. Don't get me wrong. And that's not what I'm saying here, but the model has changed to the point to where some people can be more productive in the element or in the environment that they're currently in because they're forced to.
So what about this, Aaron? Look at schooling. There's options out there we've seen here in Southern Arizona that most schools are going to have 3 different options now. They'll have a full online version. They will have the traditional in-person version. And then some of them are having a mixture of both, where it may be half days, but they're still held accountable for the rest of the half day to do that. So I look at what does that mean for schools as far as are they going to be not building more schools now? Are they going to have a higher use of the ones they have now? Are teachers going to be required to do more?
It's going to be interesting to follow where the funding is going to go.
It really is.
Because you're absolutely right, though. You start to look at it like, nope, I'm not sending my kid into that environment. Okay, there's going to be some that do that. There's going to be others that go, you know what, get them out of my house.
Yeah, that like my kids are a little bit younger than yours, so they're still in school, right? But we're on the other spectrum part where as long as it makes sense, we're dropping them off the first day. That's just where we stand. Yeah. Right, wrong, or different. That's where we're at.
We had this conversation. Actually, it was on that boat, and we were talking about this. It's like, I'm looking at some of these educators right now. What are they doing? How are they doing things, teaching these children? Because I think that we can pick up a lot, understanding where they're going and understanding. This isn't new. Video is not new, obviously. However, when it's confined to different locations, how do you get the element of a classroom element via Zoom right now? I could be sitting here, if there's 30 students online, I could be over here looking through Facebook, going through different things, not engaged. So I think it's going to be the trick on how do you keep engagement with a video platform, even in a school element.
Yeah.
And that's some of the stuff that we learned, even though in that class, a chat box is engagement.
Yeah.
So you have to throw these elements of engagement out there for people to kind of pick up and take what they are interested in, not what we think that they're interested in, but what they are interested in, So it's not just one person teaching anymore now. There's 2, 3, 4, 5 behind the scenes. So it's
I like that idea of personally. I love that idea of collaboration. For me, I loved when I got to middle school and now had to rotate to different classes. We may see that change on how we learn as far as put it this way. What we used to go to 2-day classes or workshops or whatever. And when you're in person, there traditionally has been a lot more engagement because you could go off into different avenues or rabbit trails or whatnot. So while you were teaching, you kind of got some breaks. I think that it is harder to teach online. Like imagine being like this and trying to engage 30, 40, 50, 100 people at a high level. Now, if it's me and you teaching a class online like this, or me, you, and Jenny teaching, and at Kristen and Joe, it allows you to catch your breath and have a breather and not only that is it divvies up what you're hearing. You know, if someone hears my voice for 2 6-hour back-to-back days, you start to kind of
Yeah. Stick the pencil in the eye. Yeah.
Yeah. So to change that is awesome. Now, talk about the other side. There's a lot of advantages there. Me, you, Kristen, and Denny, who we've got the United States covered now. All we need is somebody up in Maine. Joe goes back to Maine to visit. We can now hold a class from the four corners of the United States.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the thing is I think a lot of the elements of education right now are going to this, you know, to where literally it can be just the two of us being the face of it, yet behind the scenes, you got somebody that's got files that they're emailing out or they're putting up in a file doc. They're you know, because what did we have? We had another element, which was a Facebook group as well.
Yep.
So there's questions that are going on there, the questions going on in chat. And that's what, in my opinion, what learning is all about is engagement.
Yeah. And offering both is huge because like you and I, for example, we're the in-person people.
Yeah.
Like
I think the quality can go up. And here's why. If you've got 5 teachers that are teaching a course, 4 of them are behind the scenes, but the engagement is that now there with the students.
Correct.
You got one student that's not engaging, you know which one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's as simple as, hey, make sure your video is on, make sure you know this, that, the other. But you also have to have the computers in the hands of the student as well.
Yeah.
We have to start with. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting topic. I go from homes to teaching to internet to Zoom.
Welcome to our brains.
Yeah.
Welcome to our brains.
Our brains is like.
Yep. Nonstop. Going back to it, what was going up to Alaska we were up there for 8 days. What was your biggest takeaway from just that entire trip?
You know what? There's something that is to be said about. Again, it goes back to surrounding yourself with like-minded people that are going in the same direction as you are, and the barriers of life kind of come down. In other words, the busyness comes down. When you don't have internet service, when you don't have cell service,
you're forced to engage.
There you go. And here's the thing. A lot of people look at that as a deterrent. However, that is a time for your mind to decompress, in my opinion. You know, Granted, it was only 3 days of that. However, the thing is it's enough time for you to go, okay, hey, you can have thoughtful conversations. The only thing that you don't have is a reference point to be able to search something like, oh, you know what? Let me check that out. There's none of that. So you're using your mind.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't think about that, but how much of a conversation do we have and then we go, I'm gonna Google that. I'm gonna look that up or whatnot. I thoroughly enjoy the mixture of work and play. I love that, and just looking at how I learned, I love the fact that I could just walk out and go take a breather and then come back in and engage in any conversation. The thought of being able to do something like that quarterly, not necessarily in Alaska, but you rent out a house and the topic is there is no topic. It's just a 3-day mastermind. Mm-hmm. I think that there's so much to be learned there. And I was talking about this to Shayna, who was up there. I wish that there would have been an emphasis on who you surround yourself with and what type of conversations to have with those people when I was 15, 16 years old. There was, just growing up, there was, don't hang out with bad people, don't get into trouble. But and I get it, you're kids, but I wish I would have had more emphasis on that of who's pouring into your life and how do you have high level conversations as a teenager.
Yeah. You know what? I always question myself because maybe that was happening. It just, I wasn't ready for it at the time and I wasn't listening for it. I don't know.
Yeah. I just don't think I don't think there was as big of an emphasis as there is now on it. So now having a 11-year-old, 9-year-old, and 7-year-old this is the stuff I think about going, how do I, and I'm not trying to raise, 3 back-to-back presidents, right? Or future athletes that make billions of dollars. I want to raise great, selfless kids, but how do I do that? How do I take what we experience like in Alaska or just in general, the conversations that we have, and how do I ingrain that into my kids of keeping that top of mind of what can I learn in this situation?
You know what? I say this, I think it's the fundamentals of it boil down to lead by example.
Yeah.
If you're going to want to teach them that, you're going to have to bring that on yourself as well. You're going to have to do those things.
Yeah, keep it top of mind for them as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. Yeah, that was my biggest takeaway as well, was who you surround yourself matters. And we are in a technological age where that's readily available and it's at our fingertips. And it's on your shoulders if you choose to engage into that or not. Right?
Yeah. Yep. And that opportunity is out there for everybody. It's whether or not they're willing to take it or not.
Yeah. No more than today has everything been stripped off to develop business-wise or as a person than today. We've got every single opportunity at our fingertips. It's if we're going to grab it and run with it, or if we're good with the status quo or just being.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What do we have coming up in our world?
Oh my goodness, we've got we've got our summit that's coming up in the fall.
Yep.
So that's on the agenda here.
And this will be we were supposed to have a summit back in March. That got canceled. And going back to, we were talking about this yesterday as well, is there would have been no way for us to have that. And
correct. Beyond our control.
Within events, how long do you hold on before you pull the trigger one way or the other?
Well, and that's the thing, is a lot of people may be asking, well, why are you going to be planning an event right now? And you're literally, your state's still locked down. Matter of fact, last night there was they were closing down more bars, or they're closing down the bars and the gyms again, and my whole point is I can control only what I can control.
Yep.
I'm not, we're not in this world of, okay, hey, we're just going to, let things just happen to us. We can plan out our day. We can plan out our week. We can plan out our month or year. And that's exactly, I think, what we do is we plan it out and we deal with what comes at us. You know what I'm saying?
And stuff is changing so quickly. Like we experience this. Alaska's got some very strict guidelines by which you can enter their state. And how many times did that change within a month period?
Yep. Well, and it did. Well, and that's the thing is, like right now, I just saw that they impose a mask policy. That's great.
I'd rather plan for the best and have to abort something than to get to that and go, man, we really should have done this.
Correct. It's taken opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing that has happened in our industry is those that that don't get up and they don't do the things that they're supposed to be doing. Obviously, somebody else is willing to do it.
So let's talk about that. What did Gary say the market was down?
30% nationally.
So nationally, the real estate industry is down 30%. And where we're at as a team, June just set, in the last 4 or 5 months, we've had 3 record-setting months where we broke the previous month's record.
So the question is why? And we go back and we dig through this, and it's not like one little, it's not one answer.
We couldn't sit here and go, we picked up a new account.
Yeah. No.
There's not any of that in our business where we can go, you know what, we picked up the Sterling account, so that's why our business is up 30%.
Well, I attribute it to a couple things. One, we showed up. We showed up when others weren't showing up, but here's the thing: we weren't concentrating on what others were doing or not doing. We just knew that we had to show up. Two is we had to discipline ourselves, create the environment that we needed to work in. Yes, open houses were canceled. That was one of our lead gen flows. So we had to adapt to it. So, you look at those two big items right there, being able to shift or change. Okay. And then you're literally, is there luck that comes into the arena? Sure, there's luck. However, that's not a plan.
No, you can't ride on luck.
Yeah. So, but you've got to put yourself into the game. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to play at all. And that was the thing that I think that we did very well, and that we're continuing to do. And so we're reaping the benefits of it.
Yep. And people go, well, you got lucky at that. When you get as many at bats as you can call it luck, but it's really statistics.
That's right.
You can't, you sell a $2 million house. You can't do that without a real estate license.
Correct.
So that's not luck. If you're not out there putting yourself out there, you can't seize that opportunity. So you've got to be playing the game to be able to get a base hit.
Yeah.
So yeah, seizing opportunity right now is huge, and there still is a ton of opportunity out there. There's a ton of opportunity out there.
Well, and I think there's so many people that are beat down now. It's unfortunate. They're exhausted. They're done. Hey, hands go up in the air. And we talked a little bit about this earlier. With this pandemic, there's testing centers that are closed, meaning there's people that are not able to get their license right now.
Yep.
Puts the stress on that piece of it. So ultimately, as long as you don't let your license expire, you're still in the game if you want to show up.
Yep. That's true. And so looking at businesses, like you've got a couple options right now. Let's use Arizona, for example. If you own a bar and you've got orders shut down now for the second time this year, it sucks, but there is opportunity there. There really is opportunity. If you own a gym, there still is opportunity available. Can you control that? Yes and no, but if you're going to look at it black and white versus can I be open or can I not? The answer is no. Is there opportunity there still? Yes. Is there opportunity for you to take market share within the gym or bar space? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've seen it with real estate. Within any industry, there still is opportunity available. It's how do you get creative with that, and do you throw your hands up, or do you have to work twice as hard? And we've seen, I think going back to it, is we've seen a lot of our agents double down on their work efforts.
Yeah.
So good stuff. A little recap from the last couple of weeks. And we've got another podcast coming up on Growth Word Live on Thursday around ISAs and lead generation levers and how do you leverage your business with a.
Yeah. And I think, we were talking about this. We're probably going to start a series here as well, of interviews. So I think, being able to kind of get some good information from others that are mastering their craft there, I think there's always good stuff to be taken away from that. And even if you only implement one thing from what they, kind of bring to the table. And again, it's a sharing industry is all it is.
Absolutely. Those who are willing to share and give their time, it's usually because somebody took the time out for them before.
Yeah. So. Good.
All right. Sounds good, man. Talk to you soon.
Yeah.